Hi, what's your name?
My name is Marlo.
Okay. Are you a student?
Yes, I'm studying at college
Okay. In what city do you live in?
in Heidelberg.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you some questions about the immigration that's going on in Germany right now, and you just answer whatever you think that's the answer, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so the first question is, do you believe there's a true problematic immigration problem in your city?
You mean in Heidelberg then? No?
Yes.
No, I definitely don't think so, because Heidelberg ever since was a city which has a quite big amount of immigrants, and people always were benefiting from that situation, because also the university is a big motor which provides that knowledge from all over the world comes, and so Heidelberg don't have any issues with immigration problems or something like that.
Okay. The second question is, what type of needs have you visualized in the migrants?
It kind of depends on which migrants you're speaking of. If you're speaking about latest migrants and relating to the refugees, then definitely it's a need of learning German. They all want to learn German because they know that's the only way to be able to later work and first also just organize their life in Germany. So would say first it's a language they need. Obviously, also they have some needs for new clothes to adjust for climate and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they need, or they get, yeah, they definitely have to get provided with social contacts and everything. Also, in German society, because that's like the key of integration.
Okay. So, in consequence of the integration process, do you see the citizens of Germany being directly or indirectly affected?
Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
Yes. In consequence of the integration process, do you see the citizens of Germany being directly or indirectly affected?
The what of Germany?
The citizens of
The
Germany?
citizens.
Yes.
You mean with German citizenship?
Well, as for example, you as a citizen, are you directly or indirectly affected?
Yeah, definitely, mostly you're indirectly affected, but not even that. If you don't want to get affected, you're actually not that. I mean, the more the biggest influence on German, or like the biggest influence you can notice during your daily life is actually the media. The media is putting the topic quite high, and also left right-wing parties, and they are making it a quite big topic in the social discourse. But apart from that, if you don't want to get affected, you don't get affected. It's not that you have to get in touch with that topic. Yeah.
Okay. What are your thoughts about crime rate going up since Germany started accepting migrants?
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm not really up to newest statistics, but I mean, actually, crime rates or statistics, they were not especially rising for the migrants, because like the migrants, they are not committing more crimes than German citizens. Thing is that they were way more right-winged like crimes on right-wing people, which were committing them, than from refugees. So I think if it's really like that, the crime statistics were rising, it also has to do with just like crimes coming up from the right-winged from right-wing people. And I mean, which I definitely know, even though I don't know the new statistics, is that like in average, they don't, like the refugees don't commit more crimes than German citizens.
Okay. What are the main challenges for you as a local student related to the immigration problem?
What's my opinion about it? Or
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I first of all would not call that an immigration problem. I would define it as an immigration topic, which definitely has some problematic parts. But if you use the word problem, just like as the topic's name, you're just emphasizing that there's something bad about it. And obviously you have, I mean, when there are coming so many people also from cultural different countries, and obviously you have to handle some difficulties. But it's up to us, like it's up to the refugees and to us as German citizens to handle the whole situation by getting the best from both sides out of it. No, we can see it as a cultural enrichment to all of us, also to enrichment to our working market because we have a lack of labor force. And so all in all, I think there are some difficulties, like for example, language differences and culture and all that stuff. But at the end, if you really try to, we can handle it. And just by providing to the people of Germany more fear or something, what some parties do, or also some just like, also the press is not really helping by what they're always writing. That's not helping anyone. We really have to solve the problems by having plans. Yeah.
Okay. Are you aware of any association that is involved in creating initiatives in order to help the integration process?
Yeah, I mean, there are dozens of these organizations. Even I by myself were working once by organizing football for some refugees. They were from Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, and some nations in Africa, some countries in Africa. And I think it was the ESSV who was, I think it was that club who was doing that stuff. Yeah. And then obviously also you have the governmental associations which are helping them. Then you have the private donorships for all of them, just dozens of them. Like, yeah, you can actually, if you want to really help somewhere, you can find a place to do that.
Okay, thank you. From what you know and your contacts know, does the asylum process is easy to go through as a refugee?
The integration process.
Is it easy to go through as a refugee?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, that's a question I'm really worst person to ask because I'm not a refugee, you know. I mean, so what could I possibly say about going through integration process as a refugee, as a blonde, blue-eyed German citizen? I mean, my only integration process ever was from Sweden to Germany, and the cultures are pretty similar. So yeah, I mean, I think it depends also in the region where are you living in. For example, I think in the east of Germany, it's quite hard. While in the west of Germany, like in Heidelberg, they're just used to immigration. I think the language is pretty hard to learn because they are just like, it's not a European language when they come from Syria or something, if we speak about these refugees. So I think the language is quite hard to learn. Something I also don't, I think, which is a problem actually, is that they are not allowed to work in Germany. That makes it even harder for them because they have to stay in their in the houses which are given to them, and they are not allowed to leave them. At least not all the time. I mean, they have times where they can leave them, but that is not really helping to integrate because work is like the first step to integration, I think. Also because there you get in touch with other citizens of Germany. So I think depending in the region, then there's this work problem because they have problems to work in the beginning here. It's demanded by law that they can't. Yeah, but I'm really worst person to ask that because I just don't know.
Okay. Do you have any teachers or know of any directives that have any knowledge about this? about the problem or
Yeah,
topic?
well, I mean, thing is, university in Germany works pretty different. So I don't have any personal knowledge about any of my professors. So it's really like they give their lectures, and apart from these lectures, we hear nothing about them. So I have no idea.
Okay.
So no idea.
That's okay. Which impact do you believe that the family reunions of the refugees have in the increase of arrivals?
Well, therefore I have to see the statistics. I don't know. I mean, I can't say much about that. I can just say like I can understand that a person wants to be with his family. Most of the times the men go first because they are just more likely to go through all that journey from Africa or the Middle East or Near East to Europe, just because like it's for men easier to come through that. But the thing is, I have to inform myself more about the topic because therefore I can't say much.
Okay. According to the news that you see on TV, newspapers, and social media, do you think the government of the country has everything under control, or do you notice any inconsistencies?
Yes, I think the government has everything under control. I would keep it that short, yes.
Okay. Do you think this issue has become more political than a migrant crisis over the years to nowadays?
If the political system has radicalized. That's the question, if the political system has radicalized?
Well, if if it hasn't been more of a migrant problem crisis, oh, the question is if you think this issue has become more of a political than a migrant crisis over the years to nowadays.
I think like when we really speak about last year and everything, then the migrant crisis, especially in Germany, is basically just a political issue, or got just a political issue. And because I mean, the number of arriving refugees decreased enormously. There are not that many refugees arriving anymore. But all the political situation is so heated up right now about all that stuff that they're still debating about that shit, even if Germany has way more pressuring problems. And all through that, the whole political system also even has divided itself even more. Both sides have kind of radicalized themselves, left ones as the right-wing ones. Also, as you can see, in the whole world, populism got way bigger. So it was not really helping the political discourse. Neither it was helping to actually solve problems in a country which are actually also apart from the migrant crisis, which, by the way, as I said before, I would really not use always the word crisis or problem, because that's part of the real problem, that we always make it worse than it actually is. I mean, you can speak about a migrant crisis maybe in 2015 it was, but like right now there is no crisis. The only crisis is that people are dying in the Mediterranean Sea and that stuff, but not numbers of arriving refugees in Germany. Yeah, but that's something else.
Okay. Do you think this is Angela Merkel's fault that Germany is having this crisis?
No, definitely not. I mean, it's the fault of politics, which, like often politics it does, we're not planning for the future, not planning forward. I don't know how good is your knowledge about Dublin 3, but Dublin 3 was a contract, and this contract was supported by Germany for years. And in the end, if you have a situation like 2015, and then out of nowhere say, oh, we want all these quotas for dividing all the refugees over the European countries. And before you said, no, we always stuck to Dublin 3, or only the countries like Italy, Greek, and also they have to take the refugees and all that stuff. And that then it's coming to such a crisis. That's no wonder. That's really, nobody had to wonder about it. So we were closing our eyes for years from this really pressing problem. And like, if then in the end that's not Merkel's failure and or mistake, that's just like the mistake of many politicians. Maybe also she has also some guilt, but that's not only her fault. It's just because people need somebody to blame, so they blame her. But it's just not like that.
Okay. And finally, do you think it's fair that Germany right now is only accepting immigrants with studies? Why or why not?
If they should do that.
They're already doing it, accepting only immigrants with studies.
Yeah, actually, that I would really doubt, because they are like they were ratifying all these international, supranational treaties about refugees, that people who are haunted for their religion and all that stuff that they have to get a safe place to stay. So I think they still are sticking to that. So if somebody has like, no, I don't know, like a Syrian gay person who's obviously I don't know, in his home country, then to be sentenced to death or something, then Germany is still taking, even if he doesn't have a universitarian degree. So I doubt that they would only take people with universitarian degree. And that's also my opinion about it. Even if they don't, they also shouldn't, because it's just it's like they were committing to all these treaties, and then they have to stick to it. I think it's good for them. Germany is a rich country, and they have to provide a safe place to these people who don't have a safe place at home.
Okay. Well, thank you, Marlo. That will be all. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, for nothing.
Bye.